video. Today we're going to talk about the difference between active learning and passive learning and how this might be one of the reasons why your English isn't improving. Of course, I'm Jennifer from jforrestenglish.com, and this channel is dedicated to helping you sound like a fluent, confident, natural English speaker. Now, before we go any further, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. Now, let's dive in with this video. Let's talk about the difference between active learning and passive learning. Now, when a student comes to me and they tell me that they're struggling to get results, the first thing I do is I ask them to describe their study routine. And it's generally the study routine itself that is ineffective. And if that student just kept continuing on with the same routine, they're never going to get results. And a big part of that reason is that they spend way too much time passively learning and not enough time actively learning. I generally find the division with students to be about 90% passive learning and 10% active learning. That is not a ratio that's going to lead to success. You're probably wondering, what is active learning and what is passive learning? What are you talking about, Jennifer? Don't worry, it's really easy. So passive learning is when you're absorbing information. Active learning is when you're using the information. So right now, you're passively learning. You're watching this YouTube video. You're absorbing information. How can you transform this video into an active learning exercise? Well, the only thing you need to do is use the knowledge. So there are many different things that you could do. You could, for example, pause the video and summarize the key points that I just raised, or you could wait to the end of the video, pause it and summarize it out loud to get your speaking skills. Or you could pause it and summarize the main points in written form and practice your writing skills. You could pause the video and give example sentences out loud if I were to teach you a new vocabulary expression or a new grammar concept. And what else could you do? Well, of course, you could participate in the comment section and leave an example comment with your new vocabulary or your new grammar concept. Now, remember I told you that most students spend about 90% of their time in passive learning and only about 10% of their time in active learning. To understand why this is such a major issue and a major barrier to your success, you just need to imagine a pilot. Okay, let's think about a pilot. When that pilot is in school and they're studying how to become a pilot, now that pilot probably spends 4 or 5 years in training, just learning how to become a pilot. But let's imagine that you were going to take a flight. And when you got on the plane, you asked the pilot, "Oh, so how many times have you flown this plane?" And the pilot says, 0. What would you do? You would get off that plane really quickly because nobody wants to be on the first flight of a new pilot, right? Now, let's say that pilot tried to say, "No, wait, it's okay because I've been studying how to fly a plane for 5 years. For 5 years every day. 40 hours a week. I study how to fly a plane. So it's okay. Come on, sit down, put your seatbelt on, and I'll take you to your destination." You would still get off that flight immediately because you understand that just because that pilot studied how to fly a plane, even if they did it for 5 years, that doesn't mean they know how to fly a plane. It's the difference between passive knowledge and active knowledge. Now, I'm sure every single pilot, before they fly a plane, they're required to do simulations. So they have these machines with all the controls of a real plane, but they're not actually flying in the air. They're just doing it on the ground as a practice exercise. So that pilot gets practical experience. They do this for a long time before they ever fly a plane. And then when they fly a plane, of course it's not alone with passengers. Of course it's just a training exercise with a professional, qualified, and experienced pilot. And there are no passengers on that plane, right? Obviously, that's how it works. Students learning a language or learning any skill need to apply that same principle. You can't just get stuck in absorbing information. Or you're going to become that English speaker that 5 years down the line, you go to speak in English and you can't. And you're confused because you think to yourself, I've been studying English for 5 years. And that's the point. You've been studying English. You haven't been speaking. You haven't been using your English. You've only been doing passive learning. And just like a pilot can study how to fly a plane for 5 years, that doesn't mean he knows how to fly a plane in actual practice. And just because you've been studying English for 5 years, that doesn't mean you know how to speak in English. You need to get a correct learning routine that combines way more active learning than passive learning. Now, of course, passive learning is important. For a pilot, it's important. For a language learner, it's important. For any profession, it's important. It's important to absorb information. But you have to remember, you're only absorbing that information so you can instantly use it and practice it and turn it into active knowledge. So that's your goal for this week. I want you to really think about your study routine. Be honest about how much time you're spending in passive learning and active learning. So be honest, put it in the comments right now, actively participate, put it in the comments and let us know. What's the ratio? Is it 50-50? Passive learning, active learning, 50-50? Is it 80-20, 90-10? What's the ratio? Put it in the comments. And then your goal is to increase the amount of active participation and active learning. So also in the comments, why don't you identify 3 specific things that you can do to increase the amount of time that you spend in active learning. So for example, participating in the comment section could be one simple thing. So go ahead, put those in the comments now. And of course, the next time you fly on a plane, you can rest assured that that pilot has had many, many, many flights before you. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe. Now, before you go, make sure you head on over to my website, j4english.com, and download your free speaking guide. In this guide, I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. And until next time, happy studying! All right, awesome job. You're gonna transition from a passive learner to an active learner and you're going to get amazing results. Be active right now and leave a comment in the comment section below and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.